good morning to you, friends, and hope you are doing well. There is obviously a lot to talk about on the national stage. We spent a good part of the 5 o'clock hour talking about what happened in New York, Virginia, California, and also New Jersey. By the way, Joan, have you officially now given up your Jersey card?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty done with it.
Because I gave up my California card.
Yeah.
And by the way, just so we're clear, because people are like bashing me and Joan because we're not native to Tennessee, and Sam is. We are Tennesseans by choice.
Right.
So that should give us some, Tennessee cred. And I've been here for, almost 12 years. So there is that too. So, I think that now maybe at some point I'll go ahead and have, the Nashville skyline tattooed onto my arm like Sam does. But
I think you'd look really good with the state outline. We have a really cool shape of a state.
Sure. And then I can have all of the...
I would just like to remind you that as we get old, we get wrinkly, and tattoos don't look really good wrinkly.
Yeah, but they're actually great for your immune system.
Do you know what I could do? And then I got to get to work. But I could do? I could have like the state of Tennessee tattooed as like a teardrop coming out of my eye. That way I can get some street cred and some Tennessee cred.
No, I'm not crying. That's just my home state in my eye.
No. That's like, when gang members have a teardrop tattoo.
Yeah.
That means that they've killed somebody, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So I could have the state of Tennessee coming out of my
because you murder it on the air.
That's what it is. I kill it.
All right, so there's news, too, that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has asked a state representative if they have filed legislation yet to tariff New Yorkers leaving for Florida.
How would that work?
I don't know.
I just don't understand how that would work.
It's just it's a feel-good story that probably isn't going to do a darn thing, but it feels good.
I'm gonna say this. It sounds a little petulant. I mean, the people that would flee New York, as you said, Sam, the people leaving New York are victims. The close to 1 to 2 to 3 million people that may possibly leave New York, they're fleeing oppression from the socialists or the communists. They're fleeing communist oppression. Yeah. That would make them like refugees.
Well, I think there needs
political refugees.
There needs to be a clock, and the clock started today. On when you can be tariff exempt when you move to a red state.
So the sooner you booked your U-Haul truck to Tennessee, Florida, what was the other one? There's Tennessee, there's Florida, there's Texas. Then
anywhere south of Maryland in my mind.
Okay, very good. So, if they book their U-Haul truck today, they're exempt, but the further out they go, because they're waiting to see how bad it can get before they actually move.
Hey, 7789 says, Dan, both you and Joan make Tennessee a better place. I 100% consider you, both of you, Tennessee volunteers.
Oh, thank you.
Isn't that sweet?
Well, you know what? They pay me around here. I might as well be volunteering. You too, Joan.
That's right.
Sam makes the big bucks.
I volunteer a little more than you.
Whatever. You know what? Joan, I was trying for like a moment of unity, and you just slapped it right back in my face.
I think that there's room to actually make that legislation. I mean, when you start a business in a new state or sometimes purchase residential real estate in a new state and you haven't been a resident, I mean, we have policies on in versus out of state tuition.
Right.
I think there is wiggle room to make that happen. If you go, my policies that I voted for are blowing back in my face in New York, I want to leave, and you've got the capital, I feel like the state you move to should be able to take advantage of that.
You know what? Let's do a Daily Dan poll.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
So let's do a Daily Dan poll. Should New Yorkers moving to Tennessee somehow be tariffed? And yeah, I mean, there are ways to do that. If your previous address was in the Empire State, as you come in to rent an apartment or whatever, then, I mean, theoretically, I guess they could tariff you. California talked about taxing Californians as they fled the state. Remember that whole thing, Joan?
Yes.
Which never really made any sense to me. But I don't know. My official position on that is no. You don't punish the victims. Now, if they register to vote as Democrats, then absolutely tariff away.
Yeah. So if they voted for Mamdani or any of these other crazy leftists, I think that they need to pay their fair share, just like the Billionaires have to pay
just
their
like what
fair
they
share.
always say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if they voted for Mamdani, they're staying in the train wreck. You know what I mean? They're leading into the train wreck. And then once they find out what's going to happen in New York, which, we covered in the 5, if they realize they've made a mistake, which I believe that they will, then they decide to try to, move out of New York. Then you tariff them. But I don't think we tariff. I think that's silly. But how did we frame the question? Real quick.
Should New Yorkers be tariffed if they move to another state? And it is polling in favor of tariffs.
Okay. Who voters blame for the government shutdown? So the tide is turning. Now, one of the things, and we talked about this earlier this week, one of the things that some have been saying, I said it, is that the Democrats did not vote to reopen the government because they were worried. We talked about this yesterday, actually. The Democrats were worried that if they opened the government and cooperated with the Republicans on opening the government, they were afraid that the base would not show up in the elections last night or yesterday. So the tide is turning. And so we may get a government reopening at some point today or tomorrow, and we'll see.
You know what I was thinking about this, Dan?
What's that?
We've been trying to decide when Democrats would throw in the towel and open the government again.
Right.
Do you remember how it was so important to them to be able to say, and they still do, that President Trump has been convicted on 34 counts?
Yeah.
You know, that number.
Yeah.
Now they get to say that President Trump presided over the 2 longest shutdowns in American history. So they got past that day yesterday,
Yep.
and now they can say, okay.
That's right. Today's the record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and anybody, do you know who would fall for that, Joan? Democrats.
Democrats.
Like Democrats would fall for that because they already have this opinion that they hate Donald Trump. They've got TDS and so whatever. But anybody who knows anything does understand. Even the media, and we've played the audio the last couple of days, like Jake Tapper, Charlemagne, right?
Yeah, right.
Both of them are out there talking about how the Democrats have failed in this shutdown. Who voters blame for the government shutdown? From NBC News. Democrats in Congress, 42% of those that have been polled blame the Democrats.
Yeah. Wow.
GOP in Congress, only 25%. And I've got the numbers on the screen here, Sam. Trump and the GOP, only 3%. So, and I mean, let's be honest, NBC News, not necessarily a bastion of conservatism by any stretch of the imagination. So even NBC News is admitting, okay, so voters are blaming the Democrats in Congress for the government shutdown, 42 to 25%. I mean, Harry Enton on CNN had, I don't think the numbers were the same, but he also showed that the Democrats were taking the heat for the shutdown. So for me, I mean, it's obvious. If you know anything about the story of the government shutdown, you know that the Democrats are to blame because they are literally either voting for or not voting to keep the government closed. They're essentially voting to keep the government closed, or they're not voting at all because they blocked, I think, the 14th vote, from what I understand. I think that was yesterday. Bottom line is the Democrats have had every opportunity to get that government back open, and every single time they say no. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep the government shut down. So on this, what is today? Today is a Wednesday, the 5th. So on this Wednesday, November 5th, the Democrats have owned being the party of communists because of Mamdani in New York. And they also own the shutdown because all the polling shows that Democrats are shouldering the blame. So this might, on the one hand, some people would say, "Oh, this is a great day for Democrats." It's actually not. I mean, that's my whole 5 o'clock hour was, if I'm supposed to be a Danny Downer today because the Republicans lost in Virginia, California, New Jersey, and New York, I'm not, because the Democrats have staked their claim on being the party of communism and government shutdown. Congratulations, Democrats. It's going to get a little rough coming up about, Friday, Joan, with the weather?
And Friday around dinner time. That's when thunderstorms move in. Stefano is saying that the severe weather threat is a 2 out of 5. Kind of upped it today. So,
so we're talking about the possibility of
strong thunderstorms, hail, and the slight possibility of a spun-up tornado, as he likes to call it.
You know what I always say about hail? Hail no.
Ha. Ha ha.
Whatever. You know what? I can't win with you people. I just can't win.
Should have told that to some New York voters.
I bring the comedy every single day, and all I get is a bunch of groans out of you, too. Whatever. It's fine.
I don't know if we call it comedy. I mean, it's...
Moving right along. Super text line is open, 615-737-9986. Donald Trump is demanding that the filibuster be terminated. This is what he posted on Truth Social. Terminate the filibuster, not just for the shutdown, but for everything else. He says we will get all of our common sense policies approved. Voter ID, anyone? And make America great again. Donald Trump continues. Remember, the Democrats will do it immediately as soon as they get the chance. Our doing it will not give them the chance. Republicans, be tough, be smart. The Dems are crazed lunatics. They will not open up our country, no matter how many people are irreparably harmed.
Crazed lunatics is the perfect term.
Oh, I've talked about, I see the Democrat Party as, you ever see, I think I've said this before on the radio. You ever see World War Z?
Yeah.
Where when Brad Pitt and his wife and the two kids are driving through Philadelphia and the zombie apocalypse begins, I see the Democrats as the zombies. I truly, that's the way that I see them. And so Trump has a good point. One of the things, if you're just joining us, one of the things that I mentioned in the 5 o'clock hour is that if the Democrats will actually vote in the state of Virginia, Jay Jones as the attorney general, he of course won. And this is a guy who put in text message that he wants to see police officers shot and children murdered. Then Trump is right. They will abolish the filibuster at the first opportunity. And so now the question is, okay, so if that is the state of the Democrat Party, if that's their mindset, that they're going to vote for somebody who wants children killed and they want police officers shot and they'll vote for a communist in New York, then you think they're going to think twice about eliminating the filibuster? Of course not. So my opinion on terminating the filibuster, which I am, you would have asked me yesterday, I'm very much against, but I'm having second thoughts on this. Like Donald Trump, when he says the Democrats will do it immediately, we are in a war. And this is where I argue with myself, and I do this all the time, and it drives me nuts. But we are in a war. And so when you see that Virginia, California, New Jersey, and New York voted for what they voted for, Prop 50 in California, in case you're not keeping up, in California they voted for in a referendum, Prop 50, which gives Gavin Newsom and California the ability to gerrymander and redistrict. So that passed in California. So to me, okay, well then maybe we take a fresh look at terminating the filibuster. I will admit I'm conflicted on this whole thing because if we're you know what it is? We're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. You've heard that, right? So if we do it, the Democrats are definitely going to do it, right? But if we don't do it, that's the big question. Will the Democrats do it? If we don't, will the Democrats? Well, look at what they're for. Look at what they've done. Look at what they do. Look at what they stand for. But, let's go down that road. Let's say that Chuck Schumer is gone, right? Chuck Schumer's gone. AOC is in, right? I think that's a fait accompli. Who would lead the Democrats? You got any thoughts, Sam or Joan? Who's going to lead the Democrats in the Senate if Chuck Schumer loses to AOC in a primary, and ultimately AOC is now Schumer? She's not going to be...
She'll be the leader.
I don't think she'd be the leader. I think Cory Booker. I think Cory Booker would be the leader of the Senate. Because he's been...
I just think AOC is loud and amazingly popular among Democrats, and she garners a lot of attention.
Do you know what? You bring up great points, Joan, but I think in the House, she's incredibly popular. I think in the upper chamber, I think that they may pat her on the head a little bit, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like she doesn't
okay.
have the Washington, D.C. experience yet. She hasn't paid her dues to be the speaker, I should say, the leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives.
She doesn't have the same misogyny as Cory Booker, too. You know, that kind of carries some weight.
Sure. You know, I'm thinking about whether or not I want to go down that whole road of the whole beard thing. Remember that thing we talked about that one time? Moving right along. You got Dick Durbin out there. He's too old and he's retiring soon. Amy Klobuchar is there as well. So whoever ultimately ends up being the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, if they ever get power again, it's not going to be Chuck Schumer, because I think Schumer's toast. I agree with Scott Jennings. I think Schumer is toast. He's going to lose to AOC if she ultimately decides to run. So now the question of do we as a party get aggressive, seeing as to what happened last night and what the Democrats now officially stand for? Do we get aggressive and end the filibuster, going off of the premise or the concept that the Democrats are going to do it anyway?
Yeah, this is the same people that voted for Abigail Spanberger were out protesting Winsome Sears with a sign that said, if trans can't share your bathroom, then blacks can't share my water fountain.
There you go. It's exactly right.
That's the divisiveness they want across the whole country. If you're not on board with our policies, then, you know, we'll toss you aside.
And let's not forget the celebration of the death of Charlie Kirk. So 7802 says, are all the illegal aliens going to go to New York now? I think a lot of them already are there, actually, because New York is a sanctuary state. But remember, New York, Manhattan is a sanctuary city, and New York itself is a sanctuary state. So, you know, for that, I think for me, I think, yeah, they probably will. Because what was the very first audio bite that I played for you this morning? I don't have it queued up now, but one of the big things that Mamdani said last night was, you know, message to Donald Trump, you've got to go through me to get to you, talking to his supporters. And okay, so then if you want to keep all of the illegal aliens, then you're going to have all these people that are going to be fleeing New York, as we've been talking about, and you're going to have a whole bunch of illegal aliens. Do you know that's part of what happened in California? You know, in California, you had people like me. I mean, if you folks knew people listening all the time, if you don't know my story, I was one of those that fled California. And I'm here to tell you, I was making six figures. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be honest. I was making six figures in California producing a radio show, and it got so bad that I left. I left California. I couldn't take it anymore. I was replaced, no doubt, by a whole bunch of illegal aliens. And the reason I left and the reason I left was because my kids' schools turned to crap. I couldn't afford private school for the kids, and the school that they were zoned for, basically Spanish was the official language of the school. My car got broken into. My car got vandalized, and it was just, I lived in Winnetka. For people that know Southern California, maybe you know Winnetka, up in the San Fernando Valley, right next to Van Nuys. And so I was watching the San Fernando Valley just disintegrate into a bunch of crime and graffiti and illegal aliens and the whole thing. And I bailed. My first wife and I said, screw this. We are going to cash out on our house, which is exactly what we did. And we moved to Texas. I moved to Texas without a job. I moved to Texas without a job because I didn't want my kids to grow up in that filth. That's why I left California with a six-figure income. And I said, screw it, I'm out. Because I couldn't afford, even with my income, I couldn't afford anything better. And so we left, went to, Texas, and then my career further expanded, and here I am in Tennessee. But, I mean, there's a lot of people like that, where I just said, screw it, I'm out of here. And I left California. People are going to be leaving New York as well, because that is what happens when people are living amongst, whether it is crime and graffiti and gangs and illegal aliens. In the case of New York, I mean, it's already like that, but it's going to get worse under Mamdani, because he is welcoming and he wants to expand New York as far as a haven for illegal aliens. He wants fewer police officers, not more. He's one of these morons that wants to see social workers called to, crime scenes. And if there's a standoff with police, oh, yeah, let's just bring in a social worker. And by the way, here would be my question. All right, so if you want to bring in a social worker and you've got a situation where there's a standoff with police, okay, so with all of the different languages that are spoken in New York, how are you going to get a social worker quickly to a scene where it may be any one of 2 or 3 dozen languages that they speak in New York? Whole thing is just dumb. So yeah, I can totally relate to those people that are saying that they want to leave New York. By the way, Donald Trump posting this to True Social. Because I'm kind of weaving all over the place as far as topics go this morning. Pass voter reform, voter ID, no mail-in ballots, save our Supreme Court from packing, no two-state edition, etc. Terminate the filibuster. Trump is on these senators on the Republican side like a you-know-what on you-know-what. I mean, he is all over them. I think he's got a meeting with them today, as a matter of fact.
It's a breakfast.
Is it a breakfast?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, should I send Marsha Blackburn or Senator Haggerty, a text and ask him to call in from the breakfast?
What are you having for breakfast?
Yeah, if it was Tim Burchett, he'd do it in a heartbeat.
Tim Burchett.
He'd do it with a fork full of food.
Tim Burchett would just put us on speaker and let me air it, live on the air.
You could probably ask the president a couple of questions that way.
Oh, hey, Tim, put up your hand and ask a question. I think that'd be funny.
Dadgummit, Mr. President, I got this radio host from Nashville calling.
He's counting my dadgummits. Anyway, so yeah, that is... Let's see. Yeah, it's interesting. People are sending notes into the super text line about how they have left. Valerie apparently left Oregon. A couple of other people saying they've left New York. They've left Los Angeles. They're glad to be here in Tennessee. And I don't mean to brag. It's going to sound this way, but I've got a lot of listeners because I do Red Eye and some other national shows. So I have a lot of listeners that tune in from other parts of the country, and I hear from them all the time about how they want to move. And I tell people, listen, it can be scary. It can be really scary to literally quit your job because your hometown, like with me, my hometown just completely took a crapper. It did. Southern California is a complete and utter train wreck. And so if you can't afford to send your kids to a private school, then you're sending, because just look at the scores. Look at the scores of most of the school districts in California, with the exception of the ones in the more higher falutin neighborhoods. But the problem that you have in California is you've got all these kids that speak other languages. And so if your kid goes in and they speak English, well, all of the Spanish speakers, it slows down the learning process. That's the problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to grok it for you. From 2020 to 2023, 538,404 people fled the state of California. And that was mostly, to be presumed, because of the COVID policies, this restriction of business. That even accounts for people that moved out of the country. So that was for COVID policy. And this is what Mondami's plan is in New York, to remove the strategic response group and eliminate the NYPD's overtime budget.
Yeah. Yep.
And focus on community prevention. So that I imagine if the policies go the way he plans, if they get implemented, signed into law, whatever, I would imagine we will see a greater exodus from New York than what we saw from California from 2020 to 2023.
Remember when Gavin Newsom, do you remember this, Joan and Sam? Do you remember when Gavin Newsom tried to actually sell the concept that, oh, yeah, there's all these people that are coming into California, and because he was trying to, disparage this notion that people are fleeing California.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, look at our net income into California, never mentioning that they're all illegal aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, oh my God, dude, how stupid do you think we are? And that was when Biden was in office. So it's just like one gaslighting moment after another. Lord have mercy. Anyway, got a lot more straight ahead at 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. 6:46. I know, Sam, who just said something in my ear. That's what I was just talking about. He wants social workers and mental health professionals, Mandani, to go to crime scenes and not actual police officers. It is insane.
Well, and he thinks that they're going to prevent them from becoming crime scenes. That's the liberal ideology would teach you that it's a community-based solution, that only members of the community truly understand what's happening outside their front door, and they need to respond to things. And in this instance, he's got the support of obviously all the Muslims in New York. They are going to end up being the ones who are these community patrolmen, however you want to phrase it, and we'll slowly see a soft Sharia law, an unspoken Sharia law be enacted.
Oh, yeah. Well, remember, and I've got to find that audio, but there was a moment where he was asked about Sharia law, and it was almost like he wouldn't even acknowledge that he knows what Sharia law, which obviously was a big lie. So, as I said, if you're just joining us, I am of the opinion that New York, I'm not out here, oh, woe is me as far as the Republicans go. Virginia, California, New Jersey, and New York, last night's elections, they had the collective brain trust to vote for Kamala Harris. So this is not a surprise to me. I'm not in mourning this morning, folks. I'm not in mourning. I'm not going to mourn. I think that there is a lot to, number one, look forward to, because, and just like I said, I want you to, folks, if you've been listening to me a long time, you know what I said after Joe Biden won the presidency, that Democrats are going to do what Democrats are going to do. And when they do, the American people will be horrified. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Even I didn't know how bad it would get with the open borders. And Joe, I never in a million years would have thought, and I don't know why, but I never in a million years thought they would actually literally just open up the border, and then lie about it.
Yeah, and here's a cell phone. Here's your court date. And you don't have to show up, and we won't come find you if you don't.
We'll see in 6 years.
Yeah.
Here's a cell phone. Here's clothes. Here's a cash, a card full of cash. Here's a place to stay. Here's free food. I mean, that's what happened.
Yep.
During the Biden administration, people were horrified. So what we're going to see in New York, how long, was it 4 years, a mayoral term in New York? Is it 4 years? What is it, Joan? Do we know?
I believe it's 4.
All right, so we'll see what happens in 4 years.
So in the same way that you think, and I and others think that Cory Booker's girlfriend is a beard, do you believe that Mamdani's white girlfriend is in some way a beard, covering up his...
Mamdani is married.
He's married?
He doesn't have a white girlfriend. I
Just
don't
got
think so.
married.
Just got married? Okay.
Yeah. And
Isn't she white?
No.
Oh, I misspoke. That's on me. She looks that way.
Hey, Joan.
Yeah.
I'm fake news.
Let's just marinate in Sam being wrong.
Yeah.
Fake news.
Fake news, Sam.
Fake news, Sam. Anyway.
We'll get that tattoo for him.
I'll pay for the tattoo, Sam. Fake news, Sam. But 99.9% of the time, Sam is right.
Right on his head.
So we'll let this one slide. Anyway, Brian Wilson is going to be joining us coming up at 7 here. After the news is 7, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open and fuego this morning, as a matter of fact, on fire. And we've got a lot to discuss. Matt Van Epps is going to be joining us at 7:35. And we have a lot more coming up probably before the news. I've got some great audio from the head of the Air Traffic Controllers Union, who is talking about begging the Democrats, please end this government shutdown. And the numbers are horrifying as far as how many in the greater New York area. Joan, do you know how many of the air traffic controllers in the greater New York area were actually on the job last Friday?
No. Is there a number? Is there a hard number?
80% were gone.
Oh, my goodness.
80% were gone. And so, I mean, obviously horrifying. And that's why the head of the union wants the Democrats, and he understands and he fully admits this is a Democrat problem. Mm-hmm. He wants the Democrats to go in and vote to end the government shutdown. The question is, now that the elections are over, will they? 6:51